There we go.
Welcome back to Packernet. JJ Leahy, Ryan Schlip, and Jake Schvink. Today we're going to be doing some nonsense. This was a listener suggestion. I guess I shouldn't call listener suggestions nonsense, but I mean, come on, it's kind of not. So Garrett in Southern Illinois sent this in at some point in the last week and suggested, how about we have a segment called Trainwreck? And each guy in the pod gives his choice for the biggest team or player Trainwreck performance. This would add some layers to the podcast for listeners to chime in with their own Trainwrecks. So I think this will be fun. And since I am hosting this, I'm going to go third. So you guys get to go first. And I have this special coin.
Okay.
So this is a coin that I gave my wife when our daughter was born. And this is the whose turn is it to change the diaper coin. So one side says it's mom's turn. The other one says it's daddy's turn. So who wants to be daddy and who wants to be mama?
Well, that is the worst question ever, but I guess since I'm Pack Daddy, I'll be daddy.
That's true. That's a good point.
Okay. Let's see. And we have it's daddy's turn.
Oh my god.
Ryan,
goodness.
you get to
never ever do this
kick
again.
us off.
This is not happening again.
Kick us off with the dirty diaper. Now, we agreed before we started recording, we're going to expand this. It doesn't have to just be the team or player. You can submit anybody or anything for the Trainwreck performance of the week. So a coach, a fan base, whatever. Ryan, take it away.
So I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit and be a coward all at once. Sorry, Mommy Jake. But I'm going to say Packers defense. I'm too much of a coward to point anybody out because I don't... Well, maybe we should start that fight in the comment section. Who is to blame? But I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say I have no idea who's to blame. But I'm also going to say that what we saw was wildly unacceptable. I understand the Atlanta Falcons are... pretty talented in some ways. I know, some of the stuff like Bijan breaking ankles, I'm honestly not that mad about it. Like, I get it. You tried and you snapped your knee trying to tackle a guy and he does magical things, but there's a lot of things. Your inability to get off the field almost the entire game against a quarterback. And by the way, well, now I'm getting into who's at fault, but
do it.
Was it just me or are we playing the pass against a garbage quarterback and just letting a rushing team run the ball? I don't know why we did that, but anyways,
we have is pass rushers. We don't have any run defenders except like TJ Slayton is supposed to be a run defender and he sucks at it.
Yeah, and then we play nickel, I guess, but I don't know. So that would be my cowardly way of pointing out a train wreck, which is something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but if the defense doesn't improve from that, if we can't stop that, then we're not a playoff team.
So if you're not gonna really dial in on individuals on the defense, that leaves it open for Jake and I to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Individuals.
I would like to agree with Goose here in the comments. And
when
that's
he said
a great comment as well. No,
Mommy Jake.
No.
I agree too, Goose.
No. Not blaming Walker. I tend to agree. Other than dropping the pick, other than dropping the pick, I have no complaints so far. At least I would say from the first two games, not including the Chicago game as well. Like, I don't think he's been really at fault for anything that's been going on defensively. I think it's the Falcons did a couple really good things in knowing that the Green Bay was going to be, I'm not saying playing the pass, but they were going to stick to like the core of what this defense is playing some quarters, playing some high shell where it's going to open up the flats. It's going to open up those short areas where they're going to be able to attack. And that's part of how they play. But also, I do think a part of this, and that's why, again, I think we go back to kind of not to go all the way back to the 2022 draft, but I'm going to anyway. The safeties have responsibilities in this defense, and that includes run fits, even from depth. They have to play top down. We're weak at safety, and that's putting it lightly, I think. So I think that's part of it, but I also agree with JJ, what he said. There's a lot of pass rushers. It's great that Wooden and Brooks are joining the fray here.
agree with that. I was like, what did I say?
Like, bringing in Van Ness, like, this is all nice. It's great. This defense is built for 3rd and long. That's awesome. And
Yeah,
I've been
definitely
hammering this thing now for what feels like 5 weeks since we kind of started this show. It's okay. Early downs. Show me something. Show me something in early downs where you can get to the point where 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 becomes a lifestyle, and then you're just going to absolutely unleash on teams. It hasn't been the case so far. So, and especially against Atlanta. So I think, part of it is not having, and man, it hurts to say, but Slayton really got moved around. That was my guy. That was my driving the train for, you could say. Is it a wreck? Not yet. It's been 2 games, but it hasn't been great so far. So that's where I would lean to for the few things. Is Barry at fault? We could be here for an hour, so I won't get into that necessarily.
So I want to really hold Jair Alexander to task for whatever the heck that was. Yeah. Okay, Drake London in week 1 against Carolina. 1 target, 0 receptions. He shredded Jair. Jair gave up a perfect passer rating when targeted. What the heck is that? Like, I'm sorry, dude. The Falcons are a rushing team. You do not get to be the weak link on our defense. Like, you know who was out there making plays? Rasul Douglas was making plays. Quay Walker was making plays. Carrington Valentine came out, was targeted, I think, twice, maybe only once, but gave up 0 receptions. Jair was like sleepwalking out there. It was a nightmare watching that. Like, when I would see the ball floating toward Jair, I started to have a panic attack. When it was going toward Rasul, I was like, okay, we're fine. But when it was going toward Jair, I've never felt that way about him. Now, he started off last year really slow, and it took him until the middle of the season to like figure out his mojo or whatever he needed. And I mean, he was on a tear and kicking butt for the second half of last season. I need that dude back. Not acceptable.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No objection here, Your Honor.
He's got to play like he's at least making a big chunk of what he's earning right now by just trotting out there. So yeah.
And too old for this in the comments says Jair just looked defeated the whole game, and I think that's true. It almost seems like he dropped that pick and he got up in his head, and I don't know. And it doesn't help that Drake London's so physical, and it seemed like he was just getting manhandled, and Jair's a big confidence guy, and for him to just get pushed around the way he did, I mean, I think that was just kind of
second year dude.
Yeah, it was getting in his head a little bit.
Yeah.
So hopefully he bounces back. There's a bunch of people on Twitter, the same level of like so-called expert that I am, which is not much, kind of poo-pooing the idea that Jair had a bad game and that he was part of why we lost. And I just don't understand like why we gotta, handle his performance with kid gloves. He gave up a perfect passer rating.
Yeah.
You can't, I wouldn't defend any player doing that. I'm not saying Jair is washed and he can't play football, obviously. But like, dude, if you are a superstar player, I'm going to hold you accountable when you don't play like a dude who should even be on the field. I mean, that's the thing. He was like the biggest weak link on defense the whole day, which we're not used to that, in any capacity from Jair.
It is funny that we tend to use kid gloves on some of our superstars more so than some of the other guys. I mean, some of our best players who should be expected to be held to a higher standard. If they have a bad day, it's like, well, come on. Forget that. As much money as you're making, as good as you are, and as much as you run your mouth, by the way, we absolutely expect better than this. And again, with this whole performance where our best players tended to be our younger guys, I mean, it's Quay Walker and it's Jaden Reed and all that stuff. That's freaking embarrassing. I mean, you need to be setting the tone. You need to be the example, and to be dragged around by first and second year guys is ridiculous. I mean, that's said it 1,000 times on the podcast, but this was not supposed to be a team that was led by the passing offense, and that's exactly what we are, and that's a freaking embarrassment. Our run game is non-existent. Our offensive line is nowhere near as good as we thought it was going to be, and our defense has decided to just quit. And I have no idea what the heck is going on.
I'll take it a step further than that. You know who else we are leaning on right now? I mean, people are like trying to light up Matt LaFleur on social media for not kicking the 51-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Like, are you telling me Anders Carlson and our passing offense are what everybody's leaning on right now?
And it is. 56, he could do that in his sleep. Let him do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I believe it. I think he would have made it.
I know. That is what's crazy.
Yeah. It's yeah. You've pretty much, I think, got all out of this. I don't think there's much else to say, but yeah, I mean, it seems like every year it's like, can we actually stop the run?
Right. Since just 2006.
And it's just like I don't know what finger to point right now, because I think there's so much where you go, well, I mean, what is the scheme, giving us the best chance to defend the run? Sometimes when there's 5 down linemen, sure. But obviously safeties have assignments there. Has Goody done enough to bring in safeties and run defenders along this defensive line to, be dominant on early downs against the run? Like, all of this has to come into it. And I think, it's something they have to really look in the mirror at, I think.
Wait, what year did we bring in Jerry Montgomery? Did he come in with Matt LaFleur, or was he here prior to that?
I thought it was before, but I could be wrong.
I kind of thought he came in with Mike Pettin.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like he's been here a while.
To me, like, I'm not trying to get into a big
2015, it looks like,
run defense thing, but like, Kenny is a big part of our run defense issues, because he's just not a run defending defensive tackle. He's a pass rusher. And like, you look at all of our, biggest flops in run defense, obviously the 49ers NFC Championship game. There's the Vikings game like the following year when Dalvin Cook had like 4 touchdowns.
Yes.
And like, it's always like Kenny Clark has like glaringly the worst run defense grade of anybody in those games. I really thought that bringing in TJ Slayton and some of these other dudes was going to address that.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, it is the most half-hearted attempt at trying to stop the run that I've ever seen. I mean, like I said, this last draft class, I'm looking at it going, you don't even care. You are 100% sold out on pass rush. We have one guy that's on this defensive line built for run defense, and he's a mid to late round pick? Is he a 5th round pick? TJ Slayton?
Rounder.
Yes.
That's it. We got one 5th round pick who's going to anchor down this defensive line. And as you said, he's getting pushed around on that. I mean, he's getting a lot of double teams, but yeah, he's just getting pushed right in the ribs, and they're just pushing him right off the spot like he's nothing. So, I mean, it is a very half-hearted attempt. Even Savage isn't built for run defense.
No,
he's drafted because he's got like 4.3 speed. He flies around all over the place. He can cover a lot of ground. This team is built on analytics. It's all about stop the pass and pressure the quarterback, and everything else is stupid and it doesn't matter. Which sometimes that's going to be great, and sometimes you're going to face a team that just wants to run, and it's like, well, now we look like we suck.
Yep. 100%. I think the one, oh shoot, I lost the thought, and I was, Slayton's getting pushed around, but like, I mean, you're a nose tackle, the assignment, like you're getting double teamed, like that's the assignment, like take on 2 guys, like
hold your ground,
hold your ground, let others have their, have their one-on-ones, let the linebackers be able to flow to a play, like that's the assignment, like you got to find somebody who can complete it, like that's it. That's all there is.
The John Ford thing makes a little bit more sense when you look at it through the lens of that nobody else can defend the run. Colby Wood and Carl Brooks, like they're not built to do that. I'm never going to be disappointed with them for being bad at run defense, because they're not run defenders. Right. And like, I don't think that John Ford is a good football player or athlete, but he is kind of what we are missing from a body type standpoint of just kind of that big rock that you can't move because he's so huge.
Well, that's what's funny about it too. Even when we were doing the 53, it's like, well, you got to have Jonathan Ford because there's nobody else. But you also don't have to have him because, let's be honest, he can't do the job. So, like, it's nice that he's large, you know. But other than that, he can't do it. So, what does it matter if he's 400 pounds? It doesn't. It's not really the point.
I feel like Slayton is like really top heavy.
Yeah,
just sort of weeble wobble, like always. Every time I notice him, I feel like he's falling forward because he missed a tackle. He's just falls flat on his face behind the offensive line.
And I will say that is one thing that really annoys me when we have 300-pound defensive tackles letting guys slip through their arms. Like, come on, man. That is a 200-pound running back, and you have two arms wrapped around his waist. He should go down with one hand, and you're letting him slip through. I mean, I've seen Kenny do it, Slayton do it. I've seen our edge rushers do it. That's wildly unacceptable. I mean, the one time when Bijan did it to Slayton, I'll let that slide because he was diving like across the field and barely got a hand on him as he was juking like last second. So, I mean, okay, something like that, but it's way too many times. Like, come on. Of all things that I have low expectations for you for, that is the lowest bar I can set is bring a guy down if you have two arms wrapped around him.
Especially when you weigh twice as much as him.
Exactly.
Listen, I found the solution. All right. Okay. It's 6'5", 439-pound defensive lineman Desmond Watson from Florida. There's the solution. We've got it. 439.
It's not who I thought you were going to say, but yeah.
No, it's not. No, it has to be somebody who can play nose tackle.
All right, I'm sorry.
I know who you're thinking about.
Yeah.
We know.
There's only one defensive tackle in the draft. There's only one safety in the draft. I don't know why you're saying other things.
Only one wide receiver.
Wait, which safety is it? Oh wait.
Well, safety
is he a safety?
Yeah, whatever.
I think they're two, but it's fair. That's fair.
Well, this should be like a year-long debate between us because I think he's a corner.
I would probably use him as Amos, pretty much how Amos plays most of the time, I think. But
for those who don't know, we're talking about Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, right. Sorry about that.
We're not trying to be D-bags.
Nah, the inside joke was fun.
Yeah. The guy with the thing.
Because some people have suggested that he's a linebacker, which I don't think any of us buy. Maybe.
No.
I don't want to speak for anybody, but I don't think any of us buy that he's a linebacker. I think he's a corner. Okay, how do we get on the whole?
I think he can handle it, but it's because I brought up a solution of
he mentioned the draft, and then we immediately go to Cooper DeJean.
Because I knew there was a 400-pound defensive lineman at Florida who was like, well, he should just be able to take on two guys. Like, it shouldn't be a problem here.
I was actually asking how we got on run defense because my train wreck was Jair, and I don't think anybody did a train wreck after
that. Because he doesn't tackle. That's run defense, I think.
There you go.
We're all thinking of that one play that Clayton shared in the Discord. Has to be. Right, where he's just like, I don't think I want any part of Bijan here, dude. Where did he go?
Like there was something up with Jair. He ate something funny for breakfast or something.
Yeah, he was not great. Can I just, because I can't get off of this once we get on Cooper DeJean. No, but seriously, like we talk about run defense, and you mentioned safeties.
Oh yeah.
If I told you we need a guy to play safety, and his job is to help us with run defense, is that the guy, or are we going in a different direction?
I don't think it's anyone else. Off the top of my head, that's a better tackler and run defender, and I'm pretty sure PFF would back that as well. I'm gonna look up.
Wait, John in the chat, is John the guy who hit us with the donation after the stream ended last week?
Yes,
I think so.
Pretty sure.
John, salutations.
We just ended the stream, and then it came through, and we're like, oh no, John.
Somebody's got to get this going again, because look, at the bottom of the screen, JJ pay counter 0.
Yeah.
And pretty here's how this is going to go, by the way, while Jake's looking that up. Just so you know, as time goes on, more and more of this show is going to be taken up by JJ's discontent with the amount of money that he makes working with me. So if you want to hear all about that, then just let's keep the pay counter at 0. But if we want to keep it on football talk, 25 cents, anything just to keep him happy, because he is going to be disgruntled very fast. So just throwing that out there.
All right, Ryan, you and I probably sent like a combined 40 or 50 messages today to each other, and I mean, how many of those were about money?
Yeah, no, it's pretty much all of them. I think,
Pretty
like
much.
every single message. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Before the show started, we made sure that the cha-ching thing worked. Just saying. Last year, Cooper Gene.
Goose says, "Start taking clothes off, and the money will come in." I think that he means because
Pay you to keep them on.
To put our clothes back on.
Yeah, I mean, we could test that theory. Like $10 if this shirt's coming off, man. I swear, I'll do it.
I already took my headphones off. Here, I'll take my hat off too. Let's see.
It's a joke, JJ. Please don't.
Let's see if any money comes in. To give me
Jake, please give us the prospect.
Yeah. So DeJean last year, legitimately, run defense grade was 88.6.
That ain't bad.
Tackling grade was 89.
Draft him. Draft.
Coverage grade was 88.3.
Oh my good lord.
This year it's not been quite that level so far. 78 in run defense, 78 in coverage, 80 at tackling. How much is he taking plays off? Because he's playing with Utah State, Iowa State, and Western Michigan. I don't know. Plays Penn State this week. That will be something to watch. Probably be covered in the pod this week. Watching him. Tyler Newman's not bad either, I will say, from Minnesota.
You know what's going to suck is he's going to fall right into our lap in the draft. Everybody's going to want him. He's going to make a lot of sense from a functional standpoint, but his testing times are going to be mediocre, and that's not going to be good enough for Brian Gutekunst, who's going to take somebody with like a 10.0 RAS.
You say that, but he plays defense, so he is the pick.
Well,
if he was a wide receiver and he did that, then we'd pass him.
Yeah, this is the debate right here. Marvin Harrison Jr., Cooper DeJean are both on the clock. Oh, you know where Goody's going.
Yeah. Oh,
he's
100%.
taking DeJean all day. He's not
That's true.
even thinking about it.
That is true. I'm just thinking if there's another edge rusher that has like a 9.8 RAS, he might just go ahead and do it again.
Since we're technically still on run defense, we should address Drew's comment.
What are we on? Which one?
That's fair.
Drew D. He says, "Do we run a lot of stunts?" Now his earlier comment.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Do we run a lot of stunts because stunts make run defending more difficult? Now I don't know for sure that stunts makes run defense more difficult. It sounds believable to me, but Dara Carragher, formerly of Packernet before he got too big for us and went off to whatever
in about a week
site he's on now. He wrote a really cool article talking about all the different types of creative stunts that Barry ran against Chicago. So I'd buy it.
They did.
Well, and I actually heard, I don't know if I was on the stream or not, but I heard Clayton reference like run defense stunts, and my brain broke, and I was just like, I'm just going to stay out of it because apparently that's a thing, and I don't know how that's a thing, but so just so you know, apparently stunts can be used specifically to stop the run. I don't know how that works. I didn't want to ask because I didn't want to be the kid in class who's stupid. But I'm just saying, it sounds like maybe it's not necessarily a negative.
That sounds above my pay grade. I have no idea.
Although intuitively, it definitely seems negative because that was my thought too. Stunts are going to take you out of these gaps and you're going to be getting wrecked.
My only thing is if you're in the right gap, I guess on a stunt, does it are the linemen like getting out of position?
Yeah,
because they're working forward in zone potentially. Like that's maybe the one thing.
I would love to see the difference between a pass rush stunt and a run defense stunt.
I assume it's like not gaining
affecting
ground,
the offensive line,
right? More. Like yeah, I feel like the tackle end stunts are like guys are just ramming into offensive linemen getting upfield, and maybe the run defense stunts aren't as much upfield penetration.
It's like Lucas Van Ness gets into the side of the guard and tries to push 4 offensive linemen down on the ground.
Yes.
He could do it too.
So like that might be the difference. Again, for those listening, that might and watching, that might be incorrect. I have no idea.
Yeah,
just an intuitive guess. Just an intuitive guess, perhaps, of what maybe that might be. I can't be certain about that.
We should tell people what a stunt is because there's some people listening who don't know. True. It's basically post snap, 2 guys switch positions. It's basically all it is.
Yep.
There's different ways that you can execute it that makes it more complicated, but at the most granular level, It's switching positions after the ball is snapped.
Trying to get the offensive lineman out of position, get a free rusher. Essentially.
Did you guys see, by the way, the clip of Geno Smith and the Rams run a stunt with Aaron Donald? He comes flying around on block.
Oh my God.
And you can hear on the live broadcast Geno just scream, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Actually, that's not how he said it. He said it the way I say it in Madden. He just, "Oh my God!" just threw the ball. Which, to be fair,
he's just button mashing.
Down your face.
Geno Smith has now been a part of 2 really hilarious hot mics now.
Yeah, the referee one.
Weeks. The referee's like, "Hey, I'm talking to America. Like, just give me a second here." Like, oh, so good.
I think too old for this
for next week.
Too old for this in the comment section. Nailed it again. He says, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Wayne Gretzky, and then under that, Michael Scott, and then under that, Anders Carlson.
I love it.
That's pretty brilliant.
That's what he's telling Bisaccia every time.
Yeah.
Like, really? Not me for 56? Okay.
All right. Ryan, you got to hit us with your next train wreck before this whole episode becomes a train wreck.
Sure. How about a little less of a gloomy one? The Chicago Bears are a freaking train wreck.
Yeah.
In every conceivable way. Somehow, see, even I've done nothing but trash the Bears for months. Even I didn't say they're going to get worse this year, but I think they're worse this year. Justin Fields is worse this year. Their defense seems worse this year. It looks like DJ Moore's kind of been okay, at least this past week, somehow. But no, still somehow they're worse. Like, everybody is... The only thing I can think is the intuition that locker room was a complete disastrous cancer fest, I think is absolutely true, because I just think that they are falling apart and they're imploding. They're kind of just picking up on where they left off last year in terms of spiraling downwards. But, they had a first overall pick and $100 million. They spent
nothing
all of it, and they got nothing. They actually got worse. That is the biggest and worst train wreck ever. They had a pick, and I'm not even saying these are good quarterbacks. They had the number 1 pick in the draft. They said, "Nope, we're sticking with our guy." And 2 weeks in, everybody says there's no way this is the guy. Congratulations.
You're being a little unfair because
let Poles cook, JJ.
To throw the ball, okay?
Why don't you just let Poles cook? Yep.
Oh, man. They also traded out of taking Jalen Carter. Like, at some point, like, bro.
And he's tearing up the league right now.
I mean, I don't know what else to say about that.
You guys, they traded out. We were on the clock because we were not going to take him. But this way we can just point and laugh at the Bears and say, "You bunch of idiots."
Well,
agreed.
There's a lot of idiots, I think, we can point out in the top 10 for not doing that.
Not the Packers. Packers took my number 1 overall prospect in the entire draft.
There you go.
Now, I wanted JSN, but they took the guy that I said was better, and I was mad about it.
There you go.
Me.
Took my best player, you idiot.
You thought with my head instead of my heart. How dare you use my own words against me?
The best players in the draft look very clear right now. We played one on Sunday. Green Bay did. It was tough. It's a tough scene. And then obviously,
to be fair, we all knew exactly what Bijan was.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Sorry, Bijan. Did you hear how?
Yeah, Bijan. Yes.
Bijan.
Yes.
Sorry.
And also, I'll save it.
He's bougie.
I mean, we knew.
He's got mustard.
Got good. So, yeah, the other thing is Carter's got 11 pressures, I think. Something like that through 2 weeks. It might be lower. I don't know. I think it's 11, but and then I saw today Tyree Wilson has a 0.0% pass rush win rate so far for the Raiders. Went 2 picks or 3 picks before him. So that whole top 10's got some splaining to do when the fan base goes, "Oh, look at this guy. He's just tearing it up like everybody thought, and he passed." So, but yeah, Bears train wreck bad. They ran that screenplay 3 times in a row. Wonder what was going to happen the third time that you did that. Definitely not a veteran defensive lineman understanding, oh, look, this might be happening a third time. Oh, God. like Getsy, man. Like this is weird. There are people throwing out like, hey, you got to fire him. Let's see if we can get Greg Roman in here ASAP. Just run it. Pretend he's Lamar and Kaepernick and just let him run. Like that's all we can do now. Like that's where they're at. It's a legitimate suggestion. I don't hate it because you got to do something else, right? Like this can't keep happening. But
I, for one, am shocked, just shocked that Luke Getsy is not succeeding over there in Chicago after being the wide receivers coach at Western Michigan and then getting a call from his buddy Aaron Rodgers to say, hey, just come work with me and don't do anything. And then just immediately fumbles his way upward to being the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator. Actually, I'm not that shocked that didn't work, but still. It
is kind of funny. I sent JJ a video, but there's a guy who does like he's a quarterback guy. He does breakdowns and all that stuff, and he was talking about it, and he just absolutely slaps the crap out of Getsy. Not necessarily directly, but he kind of breaks it down, and he's like, it's very obvious what they're doing. They're trying to make him into Aaron Rodgers. You can tell they changed his footwork to look like Rodgers. The dude's not Rodgers. Like it's a freaking disaster what they're doing with him. And it's funny because he kind of goes into depth explaining like why certain quarterbacks change their footwork and do different things, and it's for a reason. Like Tom Brady did it because of his wide receivers, and Rodgers did it for these reasons. And yet the Bears, which would be Getsy in this case, have no idea the theory behind it. They have no idea why somebody would change the stance or why they're doing any of these things. They've never studied it. They've never looked into it. They just said, this is what we taught Rodgers. This is what I know, so I'm going to teach you to do it because that's all I know. It's freaking embarrassing. And this was like a fourth-string quarterback. I never heard of the guy. No idea who he was, but he knows quarterback well enough to be able to say that this offensive coordinator is a complete joke. It's crazy to me that guys are in the NFL with offensive coordinator positions and don't know basic like theory as to not just what you do, but why you do it. That seems like a 101 qualification.
I'm telling you, Western Michigan's wide receivers coach knows less about quarterbacks than a fourth-string NFL quarterback.
That actually does make sense. He was a wide receivers coach his entire career.
Well, and it's telling, too, when after the 2021 season, all of LaFleur's coaches start getting poached around the league. You know, Hackett goes to Denver and tries to take half of LaFleur's staff with him. The Bears come calling. The Bears in the division come calling for Getsy. LaFleur says, go in peace. You have my blessing. You can't take Stenovich. You can't take Jason Vrabel. Getsy? Yes, please take him. Good luck to you, Getsy. I mean, it's incredibly telling that LaFleur was happy to let him go in the division and play him twice a year.
I did two things I got to point out, and then we can get to Jake's whatever. First of all, this has been sitting in the comments way too long. Too old for this again with another office reference comment. He says, the worst thing about prison is the Bakhtiari questions, and that's Prison Matt.
It's pretty good.
And then I just got to point this out because this guy is a known hater. He hates, he's just a negative. I think he's a Packer fan. I don't know. He's always in here talking crap. Just to be clear, he says, okay, the Bears are worse than the Pack, move on. He doesn't like us talking about the Bears being bad. Then he says, please tell me why A.J. Dillon is still considered good. Nice guy, complete stiff, get rid of him. So he doesn't want to talk about the Bears being bad. He wants to talk about how much he doesn't like the Packers. And then he says, K-Bye thought this was a Packers chat, not a Pack sucked Sunday, but the Bears are worse chat. Negative Packer fans are the worst human beings on earth. They're so insufferable. They're so freaking miserable. It's just so tiring. I get it. Like, you hate the Packers, and you just want to talk about that all the time. Like, yes, we should get rid of Dillon. We should fire Gutekunst. Matt LaFleur's a piece of crap. Like, Jair sucks. A.J. Dillon can't run. We've got like 4 good players. Everyone else should just burn in a fire somewhere. Like, everybody's horrible. Michael, go away. We're gonna have fun talking about good things once in a while. We started the show being miserable. We trashed Jair. We trashed the defense. We've been talking run defense. We did, and then all I said was, I'm gonna take a positive. I'm gonna take a positive swing, and we're gonna make fun of the Bears a little bit and have a little bit of fun. And that's unacceptable to negative Packer fans. Nope, you only talk about bad things. And another reason why he's probably mad about this is because I guarantee you guys like Michael have been saying things like, the Packers are going to suck, the Bears are going to be better. And now that the Bears are significantly worse and we're talking about it, oh, don't talk about it. Don't talk about that. Go away. Go away. Unsubscribe from my channel. You offer nothing to anybody. Go be miserable somewhere else. You drive me freaking nuts.
One of my train wrecks was going to be the negative Packer fans.
Dang it. I'm sorry. I should have let you take that.
No, I'm glad that I think that you did a better intro on it than what I was going to come up with. And I kind of want us to all dogpile on it now because.
Okay. That was mine.
It's fine. No.
Dude, I uninstalled Twitter from my phone this week after the game because I felt fine after the loss. Like, okay, the first 30 minutes after the game, like I was still kind of pissed off about some of the individual plays that I was like, man, that really sucked, whatever. But after 30 minutes, like I was fine. Like it's a week 2 loss.
Right.
We are not like, oh, we have to get the number 1 playoff seed or we're dead. Like this is just a for fun season. Yeah, we're trying to make the playoffs. Yeah, we think there's a good chance at making the playoffs in a weak NFC.
Yep.
But like this is year 1 of this new era. A week 2 loss by 1 point.
Yep.
And like I don't know. I have been frustrated every time I get on Twitter. I feel like it's the same like 3 idiotic talking points of like, hey, we need to improve the team by cutting AJ Dillon today. We need to trade for Cam freaking
Akers. Yikes. Mr. 2.8 yards per carry. Yeah. Let's do it.
And we need to fire Joe Barry. Not because of the scheme, but because guys are missing tackles. Meaning he had guys in position to get negative plays for the offense, run stops, sacks, etc. And then guys just dove and missed. You had Kenny Clark laying on the ground half of the game because he was diving and missing. I just don't look, do I like Joe Barry? No, not really. Do I think that his scheme could be better? Yeah, at times. I don't understand the whole like, oh, this loss is on Joe Barry. It's not. It's on the players who didn't execute. Jair freaking Alexander was in man coverage on Drake London half the game, was a complete sieve, gave up 100% of the targets to Drake London, and people are going, oh, fire Joe Barry. Like you guys screamed all last year about you got to play more man. Okay. Jair is shadowing Drake London here, and he's not breaking up the play. He's not getting, he's letting Drake London, scream wide open and then making like a half-hearted tackle attempt after the catch, gives up a touchdown, gives up a perfect passer rating, and now all of a sudden you're mad. Like, you want Drake London doubled? I just don't understand. I've been talking about Joe Barry too long on this specific episode of the live stream.
Yeah,
like this is already more Joe Barry talk than I wanted to get into. But every time I get on Twitter, it's just the same 3 talking points over and over again. I'm just miss me with the Cam Akers crap.
And I mean, the whole thing is just getting exhausting. Like I engaged with it, and now we're in like day 3 of it, and I'm already to like I don't have anything else to say about it. Like the defense is not good enough, established. I don't know why. But even then, like you said, if we can just take a step back for a second here, we were the underdogs in a game, second week on the road. We missed probably our top 4 offensive pieces in this game. We're not supposed to win the game.
No.
We lost by 1 point, which actually we beat the spread on that because that was better than expectations.
Yep.
And we're number 1 in the division. And our team is ranked top 10 by almost every metric you can find that ranks teams. So, yes, they're frustrating. I understand, like, the run defense thing is really frustrating because this has been a long-seated issue for a long time. Sure. But, and I even made allusions to this on the podcast, like, if we can't move on, there's something wrong with our fan base. Because, like, other fan bases are breaking down. We have to be better than this. This is ridiculous. It's 1 loss in a season where if we happen to limp into the playoffs, that's a freaking bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
It got to the point, I think, where really, you see us, because this is probably part of it too. Like all off season, hearing how the Bears are going to be good, right? That was, the Bears are going to take the jump. So you go beat that team by 18, and then suddenly, perhaps expectations, which 2 days ago, right? 2 days ago, right? That Monday felt really good. 2 days ago, you're probably thinking, man, if we win 10, that's incredible. We win 9 and sneak in the playoffs. That's awesome. Ahead of schedule, all that. But once you beat a team by 18 that people think, oh, maybe this is the breakout team in the NFC, now suddenly the expectations change. The field goal posts have now been moved. Now losing to Atlanta is unacceptable. I love, this is a great comment.
Well,
you're not going to be undefeated this year, people. Well, you beat the Bears by 18.
Right.
Yeah, they play the Chiefs in December. Like, you think we're going to be favored in that game now suddenly? Like, I don't.
And unless it changed with the Monday night games, I don't know. We're the second highest scoring offense in football right now, which probably is a little bit better than we were expecting, I would assume.
Right. Well, I mean, 1 month
the
ago,
EPA per play passing is incredible so far.
It's astronomical.
Jordan Love is hitting doubles and triples like nobody's business. I know PFF doesn't love it because it's play-by-play, and Jordan Love definitely has to down by down improve consistency, hit singles more, absolutely. But he's hitting doubles and triples already, which is awesome, and especially over the middle of the field, which, we can riff on that for however long we want to, right? About who avoided it and now who's attacking it. Great. The young guys are stepping up. Wicks and Reed are, for rookies, stepping in. No Watson. Dobbs has been, pretty much hampered. I mean, he still didn't complete. He wasn't full practice all last week. They're stepping in. They're making plays. These young guys look great. Just chill. If we lose to the Saints, are you going to relax? Probably not, because Aaron's not going to say anything about it, right? He's not here. But okay. There are going to be games that are going to look really good because I think Love, to me, is ahead of schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
If things were flipped and the rush EPA was really good and Love wasn't playing well, I think we'd still be complaining oh, Love's not good. What are we going to do? Just, oh man, it takes one loss and everything just flips.
To your point, we're missing Bakhtiari, Elton, Jones, Watson.
Yes.
That's our 4 best offensive players. We're missing all of them. Romeo Dobbs I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him health-wise, but, final play of the game, we have freaking Samori Toure and Patrick Taylor out there running routes. God knows why, because Romeo Dobbs can't play. The Falcons were favored by, 1.5 or 2 points. We covered the spread. We lost by 1 point. People are pissed, probably because we were leading by 12 at one point.
That's
due
why.
to miracles.
Yeah, that's why.
But one month ago, it's a month and 5 days ago, I tweeted out, just for fun, my season long, here's the wins, here's the losses. I had us beating Chicago, losing to Atlanta and New Orleans, and then going on a 3-game winning streak. That doesn't mean anything. But the point is, that's where my head was a month ago. And the comments, Ryan Murphy says, why do you have us losing to Atlanta? I said, I'm anticipating a slow start. The Bears stink, should be an automatic win. The first few weeks will still be challenging against good defenses. And although I don't think the Falcons have a great defense, they have a terrifying corner in Terrell, who did basically erase Romeo Dobbs on the day. I think that really matters. You had Tay Wicks and Jaden Reed carrying the entire passing offense. I didn't really see Luke Musgrave tearing it up as much as he did in week 1 either.
No.
And elsewhere in the comments, John said, after 2 straight early season losses, Sean Clifford will be the new starting quarterback, which, I mean, I think we're
classic.
I think we're pretty happy with where Jordan Love is, even given the low completion percentage and given the loss to Atlanta. I'm not sure what you expect him to do at the end of the game when he's trying to throw passes to Samori Toure and Patrick Taylor, and he hits Toure in the freaking hands and he drops it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what you expect him to do.
Right. That was really impressive. And he's got a bunch of those, man, that get dropped. And I made that point too. If they catch those passes, that number flips on its head. His completion percentage above expectation goes way up, because none of those are going to have a high expectation of being completed. So when you start completing those, when those guys start catching them, that's going to change a lot.
Yeah. And I will give credit to the Bears fans who ran their mouths at me all offseason, in particular at Let's Go Chicago Bears. Love him.
Oh, yeah.
Kept pointing out to me how young our wide receiver core was. Hey, you're right. we got all these young guys and they're rusty and it's costing us some big plays. Yep, you're right. Offense still looks pretty good, even that withstanding.
Yep. And there have been people commenting about like how like, oh wow, like this Packers receiver group is young and they look pretty deep. Like they've seen that from like just random like accounts who cover more of a broad spectrum of things that aren't really focused on the Bears or the Packers. Are saying, well, this is, if Wicks can play like he did in 2021, or at least get like, there were flashes of that, I think, this week. Like, this is, I mean, you got to be excited about where they're at, especially again, like we said, Love is all we asked for him was to be able to execute an offense. And I think from a doubles and triples perspective, he's definitely done that. Can the singles get better? Like I said, absolutely. But like, it feels ahead of schedule, which is great. But again, yeah, it's,
who Love has been reminding me of a lot. And like, obviously there's a lot of Aaron Rodgers comparisons, but that part aside, he reminds me a lot of when the 49ers offense has been like humming along at its best over the last 4 or 5 years. Jimmy Garoppolo, just like kind of consistently always doing the right thing, getting the ball in the hands of playmakers. Like, I feel like he's got that sort of Jimmy G floor. And like, people like to dunk on Jimmy G, but he's in Kyle Shanahan's offense, he was a fine quarterback and he murdered everybody they went up against. I feel like he's got that as his floor. And we all see the Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes comparisons, in Jordan Love's game. Like, we know what his ceiling is. I think Jimmy G is like his floor. He's executing Matt LaFleur's offense the same way that Jimmy executed Kyle Shanahan's offense. And that's enough. It really is.
I just want to get to Mike's comment here. Just for Mike and anybody else that might have popped in a little bit late. First of all, he says the defense is 27th in the league in yards given up with 333 yards on the ground. It's just not good enough. Someone has to be held accountable for that. All three of us agree with that, Mike. We very much agree. I think the only point we were getting at here is it's getting exhausting. Like, we heard it, we vented it. Something does need to be done. But at the same time, when we just keep hammering the same three negative things over and over, like there's a lot of positives, and there's really no reason to be this angry for this long about a 1-point loss, and beyond that, we don't know what next week is going to look like. It could have been an aberration, and next week we look really good. So, maybe it's just because we and I especially talk about this so much and so often every single day, 2 podcasts a day, that I'm kind of to the point where I'm like, I'm just burned out on it. But we all agree. It's just we have to be able to move on from such a minor thing, because there might be a lot worse things coming up. And if we can't handle a 1-point loss, we are going to be in for a massive amount of pain this year.
Yeah. I just remembered a point I wanted to make like 40 minutes ago. Ryan, you were talking about like how we have to treat our superstars with kid gloves. And then, we just take the hammer to like the players who we don't like so much.
Yeah, right.
And it reminded me, like, one of our highest graded offensive linemen this week, who I think gave up maybe 1 pressure the entire day, was Royce Newman. Yep. And people still won't stop kicking the crap out of him on Twitter. And like, we need to cut Royce. And I'm like, dude, if we had cut him before the game,
we'd be in trouble.
Our Sean Ryan.
Sean Ryan would be playing.
Take a tackle inside. Like, and I get frustrated a lot with some of the like, hey, we need to cut AJ Dillon to make the team better. We need to cut Royce Newman to make the team better. And I'm trying to just point out, like, listen, if you think that there's like addition by subtraction, I don't think that's the case with a backup. I think that can be the case with a starter. If you've got a toxic starter out there, sure. I think you could make a case, even if it's not a great one. But like, if we're just talking about backups that you don't like, dude, we got, we had a practice squad running back out there on the final play of the game, and who I think is our worst wide receiver in Samori Toure out there. And like, that actually cost us the game, because Toure dropped the pass that would have gone for a first down, and the Falcons, I guess I never really heard whether, what the final decision was about whether it was a pre-snap or post-snap penalty. But for a while, at least, the Falcons were debating if they were going to decline the Patrick Taylor penalty to just go ahead and get the ball back. You got our two worst players out there. Like there's places on the roster that we can upgrade that are a bigger deal than, hey, we got to get rid of our running back too. We got to get rid of our left guard too. Like, just give it a break. I get that you don't like the guy, but if you want to free up a roster spot to add a specific player that you want, like, hey, let's say Cam Akers actually gets cut and he's out there, on waivers to be claimed or whatever, which is probably going to happen. I don't think any team is dumb enough to trade for Cam Akers.
I wouldn't necessarily rule that out, but I
actually think there are a lot of parallels with A.J. Dillon and Jordan Love. We talk about Jordan Love and the CPOE and all that stuff, and we're like, if the receivers would catch more, that stat would increase. This offensive line, even for an offensive line that is traditionally not good at run blocking, they are horrific right now. It's impossible for any running back, even Aaron Jones, who, despite his week one prowess, didn't even match up to his standards. But it's impossible to get like a 90 PFF grade behind this offensive line. You can't do it. You need to have places to run. And that's when you can have like a couple 3.5-yard runs, and then you rip off that 20-yard run. And at the end of the day, you end up with great stats and great grades and all that kind of stuff. If there's nowhere to go, you can't have that. Now, I'm not saying he's been perfect, because I don't think he has. The tripping is obviously getting to be a little comical at this point, because I talked about it week one, and then week two he does it again where he's just stumbling, and it's like, come on, man, you got to be doing a little, like the one time you get a hole, you trip. You can't do that. But
he also had three long runs of 8 to 9 yards where he did get hit in the line of scrimmage and kept going anyways.
Yeah, and it's just, the point is, I just think if we can get the run blocking to just pick it up, like a lot of things need to pick it up right now. There's a lot of things not up to snuff. Even the pass blocking on the interior is not where it needs to be, and I assume it will get better because it's the same guys. So I'm willing to be patient. We saw some of our offensive linemen like Elton Jenkins kind of take a while to kind of get acclimated, almost mid-season. I know it was an injury, but still. I do think if we see better run blocking, we will see a better version of A.J. Dillon. He just needs a little bit to get going. There's nothing for him to get going, I don't think, right now. I'm making excuses for him, and I do think he does need to be better. I still stand by the fact that I don't think he's special. I think he's good enough. I think he takes what you give him for the most part, and maybe that's all he's ever going to be. But the idea that he is just garbage and he always has been is not true. He has been a very solid and consistent running back for us, and it's been a slow start, and I do think the offensive line is a big part of that.
As one of the big haters of the Dillon pick at the time, and for the first probably 2 seasons was very, I was very upset about it and continued to kind of push that upset emotion out on Dillon, even when he was playing well. I think there are parallels to how Dillon is playing now and how Rodgers was playing in 15, where he doesn't trust guys to get open, so the confidence isn't there, so he's not ready. I think there's a part of that with Dillon where, he's not confident he's going to get what's supposed to be there for him in terms of rushing lanes, in terms of how he's, often played a patient game between the tackles. And if things aren't set up well, like, you don't have that confidence to attack when it's there. So I think that's part of it. Dillon's trying to think, maybe I need to freelance a little bit. And that's kind of how Rodgers looked at 2015 a little bit. The rhythm went away and I got to freelance. So I think there's some parallels there as well with Dillon. So as somebody who has, not been the biggest fan of Dillon for a long time, I'm willing to kind of hear him out a little bit at this point, because I do agree. I think the run blocking, from left guard to right guard has been pretty atrocious, snap to snap. Myers might have been a little bit better this past week, but it's still not where it needs to be for a guy like Dillon, who, he's not explosive. He's not going to be able to, just bounce things out, when things aren't there. It's not his style. It's never going to be his style. He has to be between the tackles, and he can operate that way. It's just, that confidence has to be there. That trust has to be there, and execution has to be there. So, and it hasn't been.
We've got a few comments that we need to get caught up on. One of them being, Andy asked, can you guys please talk about the Bears again? So Michael leaves the chat.
He's not going anywhere. He says he's like those people that say they're moving to Canada. You just say it because he's angry. He's not going. He's going to hang out with us the rest of the day.
This is a good question, though.
Chris, I see your comment about my voice. Just so you know, if you want that comment to get featured and read out loud, you have to super chat it. You super chat it.
Okay.
Get the donation counter going.
Okay.
Using extortion tactics now.
Wow.
We'll read it on air.
All right.
I didn't even see it. You're lucky because I would have put it up there if I'd have seen that.
I like Drew's question, and I also like that he has a comment down here about there's a Gutekunst not getting an offensive tackle.
All right, let's do this one here. So Drew D says, "Do you guys believe Love is a franchise quarterback now? Did you before the season? Would anybody like to go first?"
Sure, I can go first.
Okay,
go ahead, Jake.
All right. In 2020, when he was drafted, yeah, absolutely. I was very high on him. Was I high in the selection? Maybe not as much. But I thought that he was, I thought the Chargers were potentially on him. Obviously, there was all that talk from his QB coach about Indy and New Orleans being interested. I thought, oh, yeah, please jump on that. That's a good idea for your franchise. So I was all in on that in 2020. I think I've grown less confident over that time because of Rodgers' frustration and Gutekunst not willing to necessarily just move on and get the kind of headache frustration out of the building that they were like, we still need him here. That kind of put, people that kind of brought people to the forefront who were like, oh, they're not confident in that quarterback. Like, he's not really the guy. He's not good. So that kind of waned the confidence a little bit. Before the season, I was very much on the fence. I thought it could go either way. You knew where the ceiling was. You saw all the splash plays that he had. You saw how he played against Philly, which, by the way, was not garbage time. I will fight that one. I'll die on that hill. They were in that game. So he played well in there, but the Chiefs game obviously was, Spagnuolo just unloading pressure and just not having a response to it. So I was very much on the fence. Right now, I still am. I think it's too early to tell. I think I shared it. Where did I share it? Did I share it in Discord today? The EPA and where was that photo? I don't remember. But it was about the chart of quarterback efficiency, where Love's just in a strange place in terms of EPA and completion percentage over expected composite. Like, you don't see a lot of players up where he is.
Never.
So that's. Have you seen any none in recent years?
No, I went back. So the one site, it goes back to 2012. I went through the first 2 weeks all the way back to 2012. There was nobody, and then I went for the full season, which I figured is less likely, from 2012 through now, and there's zero. The closest was like Mark Sanchez in 2012, and he wasn't even close to that. He was like 0.2 EPA and like -1 CPI. I mean, it was just so like strange. Kind of off the grid, but no one has ever been close to that.
That's so strange. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
You're saying you're not sure right now if he's a franchise QB?
Yeah, I still think I'm where I'm at before the season started. Less certain for sure than I was in 2020 when he was a prospect, just because I think there's just PFF's obviously clearly seen it, inconsistency snap to snap. You have to hit the layups. He hasn't hit a lot of them. That's a little concerning. Obviously, I'm loving the fact that he's hitting some big plays, and the EPA per play is up there, with the tops of the league. I think it's second right now behind Tua, who's gone absolutely nuclear through 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm still just, can the consistency improve down to down? And I think he can get there. So,
Ryan, you remember my buddy Justin, who used to call into Packernet After Dark, and he was like a big Lions fan and hated you and all that stuff. So he was sitting next to me when the Packers drafted Jordan Love, and I don't know, like a lot of us, I didn't react well to that draft selection.
Sure.
And I was like, when they traded up, I was like, there's nobody left who makes sense for them to be drafting. Like, all the wide receivers are gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
I was like, they're taking Jordan Love. I don't want him. I didn't want Jordan Love at all. But like, it's obvious that's who they were drafting up for or trading up for. So we took him. And since then, I feel like I have talked a lot about how excited I was to finally get to see Jordan play, and how I was ready in before the 2022 season. I was ready to move on from Aaron, and before this season began, this 2023 season began, my buddy Justin was asking me, because he just remembered how I had reacted when we drafted Jordan, and he's like, so why haven't the Packers gone out and signed, Carson Wentz or somebody to come in and be your starting quarterback? And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
Jordan's the guy. And I think that's where I am. I do think he's the guy. I think barring a big collapse, that would be obvious to everybody, to where you're watching him play and it feels like when you're watching Kenny Pickett play right now, or when you watch Justin Fields play, and it's just obvious that they're not the dude. I think Jordan is clearly here next year. Is he going to do enough this season to earn that big mega contract? I don't know. But I mean, if Jimmy G is a franchise quarterback, and I think people probably would describe him as a franchise quarterback, I think Jordan Love is as well. So I think that's my answer.
I've mostly been down on it. I didn't like the pick. I think going back and watching him, unlike apparently most people, I was actually really impressed. I mean, I know everybody here liked him in college, but the vast majority of people seemed to just assume he was terrible in college, which I don't think was our conclusion. But I really liked him. But I think from there, I mean, we just didn't really get to see him very much. And I kind of just stayed in this realm of most quarterbacks, most picks don't pan out. The little bit in the preseasons and the camps or whatever don't seem great. So I'm leaning even a little bit lower than average, especially since he's a late first round pick and not an early first.
Yeah.
And then there was a spike in the Eagles game where I was like, okay, that's cool, but it's small sample size, whatever, we'll see. And I think the biggest spike occurred this preseason when guys started breaking him down and going through and being like, his ability to understand the offense, to know exactly, pre-snap, he knows where he's going with the ball. He knows, because he knows the defense. As soon as this guy moves, not in the
same way where Rodgers the last couple of years scared guys down.
That's right. That is good distinction. That's not what I mean. I don't mean he's gonna, no matter what, I'm going to Devontae. I mean he's reading the defense. He knows the structure of the offense. As a result,
to attack the defense. Yeah,
I know that Romeo Doubs is the guy to throw to. And he's going to go to the next level, look off to the right to get the linebacker to move, and then throw to his left. It was such a revelation of how good he was in this system that it really spiked my belief in him.
Fields doesn't do any of that.
No, he doesn't. I mean, he's and that's the thing. You watch the quarterback. Yeah, you watch the quarterback breakdowns, and there's a lot of but I don't hear a lot of people saying that kind of stuff about quarterbacks, really genuinely being impressed with his ability to just, it's just instant. He just knows. They're in the film room together, and they just get it. But there are still concerns. I came into this with the deep throwing is a problem. That hasn't been reconciled. His ability under pressure, that hasn't been reconciled. And now just generally, consistency and hitting passes, especially, like you said, layups. These are three problems that if they don't get reconciled, I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback. Will he be a decent start? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how likely it is. Like you mentioned before, hitting triples all the time. Yeah. That doesn't seem like a thing that's going to be sustainable. So it feels like a race to me. What's going to happen first? The fall off of these doubles, triples, and homers, or are we going to start seeing the other stuff come up? Because If this comes up and this stays, we're talking top 3 quarterback. If this stays down and this comes down, he's gone. He's going to be off the team in a couple of years. So it's just there's optimism because he's really talented, but it's still just kind of holding my breath, hoping that the bad goes away and the good stays.
I'm excited for this week because the Saints have the 6th highest graded pass rushing unit in the league right now. Yeah. And the Panthers are right behind it at 7th, and we're going to play them later this year as well. I'm excited to see, in a sick way, I'm excited to see Jordan just under horrific distress from an opposing defensive line, because I really want to see if he can get rattled. We saw him rattled against the Chiefs in 2021, And since then, we just haven't really seen that. Yes, his grades are worse when he's under pressure. But, like you see some of these other bad quarterbacks who just have like a horrific day when they are under assault and they're rattled, including Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my favorite thing about Jordan Love right now is still he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low. And he shakes stuff off. He's got that short memory, shakes it off, goes back out there. Now, the end of the Atlanta game, again, it wasn't great, but he also wasn't throwing to anybody. There was nobody running routes for him at the end of the game there. But like he still, I think, was still making plays, staying calm, trusting his offensive line. That was one of the big things that you would see when Rodgers would have his complete collapses, like Chargers 2019, 49ers 2019, Buccaneers twice in 2020, where he wouldn't trust his offensive line and he would bail from a clean pocket or throw the ball away when he's not actually under pressure because he's seeing ghosts, because he's freaking out. We haven't seen that yet from Jordan. I want to see if a ferocious pass rush from a team like the Saints is going to do that to him. I'd like to see that because I think, if you look at like the whole kicker comparison, where you're looking at how Mason Crosby started off slow, Dan Carlson started off slow, and what happens when those guys have a long time in the league to keep honing their craft, and Mason Crosby turns into one of the best kickers in the NFL, thankfully, for the Packers, who didn't bail on him. Dan Carlson gets bailed on by the Vikings, goes to the Raiders, becomes a phenomenal kicker over there. Jordan Love, to me, feels like a guy who, the longer he's in this offensive scheme with LaFleur, I think is going to get better and better. We saw this huge leap from him in year 3. I think we saw another similar sized leap from him in year 4, and we're watching him here. My question is like, hey, what's he going to do for the rest of the year? What's he going to do when he's in really, really bad situations, which maybe the Chiefs or the Saints defense is going to do to him next week? And what are we going to see from him in that year 5 leap? Because if he just continues getting better and better every year, I already think he's decently good. So if he just keeps improving and the Packers stay patient with him, this to me doesn't feel like a situation where you're just in quarterback purgatory, which you do see with some guys, like when Matt Ryan was going downhill for like 4 straight years at the end of his career, or Marcus Mariota. And it was just clear like the Titans are in quarterback purgatory. I don't see that with Jordan Love. I see a guy who is getting better. And the question is, are you going to be patient enough with him long enough to reap the benefits? Or are you just going to say like, no, look, the standard in Green Bay is quarterback excellence. And, we have the opportunity to draft a guy. We got to pull the trigger and bye-bye Jordan.
It is funny too that you mentioned that you're looking forward to seeing the pass rush, because it's kind of funny. That's something you would never wish ever on your own team, but I'm kind of in the same boat where it's like good. Like I want. Yeah, well, exactly. It's I want to see it, but I also want him to prove that he can do it. It's like I'm so sick of like, well, he looked good, but there was no pressure. He looked good, but he was safe. Let's put the guy under pressure and let's see what he can do. Let him demonstrate and show. And if he can't, then he can't, and we can talk about it. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of consternation about it. But if nothing else, he needs that experience. He needs that exposure. I'm glad it's not every week. It's not like Joe Burrow getting just buried. But once in a while, realizing you're not going to see like a 5% pressure rate in the NFL. Like this is more of a real thing. You got to be able to handle it. And I'm just excited to see it because, like you said, it does just kind of feel like, yes, of course the goal is always to win a Super Bowl, but that's honestly not exactly what we're doing right now.
Well, think back to 2019. That was an evaluation year for Matt LaFleur and like this kind of new look Packers roster.
Yeah.
And we didn't have expectations of going to the freaking NFC Championship game in that year.
Right.
So we had expectations hey, can we see the offense start to look lifelike? Can we see some creative play calling? Can we see guys who look like they like playing with each other? Can we see the defense actually play well? And, they didn't start off the season incredible. I'm starting to forget who we played in like week 2 and 3, but I know we played the Eagles in week 4 that year, and it was really frustrating, and it was a bad loss to Carson Wentz. And like at that point in the year, I think we were all still in like evaluation mode for that team and for Matt LaFleur, and we ended up in the NFC Championship game. And I'm just looking at our roster this year, and I'm looking at the coaching that we have, and like everything is in place to where it can be an evaluation year, and I can still have my priority in week 3 be, hey, I'd like to see our new quarterback under a lot of pressure and see how he responds, and still feel like we have the pieces around them to go out and win the NFC, because it's a bad NFC this year. I think that, it's surprising already how well, the Falcons have been playing. They're one of the only 2-0 teams in the league right now. And obviously the Niners look good, but they also haven't really played anybody.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't want to play the Niners though. Hopefully the way that the playoff, shakes out, the Niners play somebody else and we can miss them, because I'm so sick of that team.
Yeah, even though that's not the expectation, getting bounced by the 49ers is still just something I can't stomach.
No.
Yeah, that's fair.
We
got rid of we got rid of that.
You haven't done your
I was holding it up there for you, and then we were kind of running long. You can touch, man. Just do it. Just do it. You know what it is.
All right. So I think who brought it up? I want to make sure.
Let's see if I can find it here.
It's not Chris N. We're not doing Chris N's comment about
Drew? I think it was Drew who said it.
He didn't. We would do it.
Where is it, Drew? Dang it!
Man. Oh yeah, I found it. Goody was a little irresponsible not getting a tackle last year in the draft. He is implying Bakhtiari is never going to be healthy again. Bold statement, but you never know. We need a starter. Oh, let me cook. Okay.
Yeah. A point of clarification before you start. When he says the draft last year, is this the 2022 draft or the 2023 draft?
I assume 2023, because I think in 2022 they did draft some. Yeah, because Tom was. Yeah,
we got Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the 2023, because they didn't draft. Yeah, they didn't draft.
Cook him, Jake.
All right. No, I'm not cooking him. I agree. I'm going to cook with a tackle prospect.
With this tackle class? Are you serious?
I'm cooking. Yes. I'm about to cook.
I'm cooking. Shut up.
Do you hear this? We're getting stuff on the grill. All right.
Do it.
All right. So I think with the tackle class, really quick, there's one guy at the top who has dangerous splits in terms of grades. That looks suspiciously like he's going to be a Packer. I will say that's John from Penn State. He looks like the Packer when he plays. He's allowed one pressure on 82 opportunities this year, and just 1 in 40 against an Illinois front that's like good. Like legitimately, Gabe Jacobs is going to be a 2025 prospect to watch on the edge. And he had a couple reps where he was trying to fight off stunts and stuff from Newton, who's a dog, by the way. We know this. But he can't move anyone off the ball for his life right now. I don't know what that's about. Penn State's strength and conditioning is often really good, right? Like they've got guys who are 250 pounds running 4.39s. Like he's a beast. So, oh, he's watching me cook. Yeah, you might be dreaming right now. It's possible.
Too old for this. Said I took sleeping pills an hour ago, but I'm still up watching this chat. I don't know if this is real life or if I'm dreaming this chat.
Too old for this has got me just giggling to myself on the stream.
You might be dreaming it.
Hey, you guys enjoy this live stream, because this is the last one we're ever doing, because nobody's super chatted.
JJ is going to protest.
Man,
we're not doing this again.
That's right, JJ. See, let me cook for a bit and see if somebody drops one of these.
Yeah, he's going to cook so good.
Yeah, that
he's going to scare up a donation.
Yeah, right. Joe Alt, really quick. The splits look super encouraging, even this year too. He's obviously doesn't have the huge test yet. NC State was one of the tests. He did pretty well. Grades looked solid. He's a good run blocker in both facets. It's zone and gap schemes. He's good run blocking there. I think when you look at
he's going to have a great test this Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The test is going to be off the charts against
JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer coming in. You got Mike Hall. I mean, I know he's an interior guy, but they can move him around.
Yep.
This will you'll see what Joe Alt's made out of. We'll see how he handles that.
And the grades weren't good last year. So in that game against Ohio State. So we're going to have to see, a little bit more hopefully from him in that game, but he's that slow loser type in pass protection where it's just like, yeah, he might lose eventually, but it's in a LaFleur offense, especially. I think the ball's gonna be long gone. So that's somebody to watch for sure at Notre Dame. JC Latham, big fella, 6'6", 335, has similar splits, but I think the run blocking isn't like it's not as drastic of a shift. He's a big dude at 335. I expect him to grow in technique to learn how to move people off the ball. So I'm fully in on that regard. The Texas game, he did allow 2 pressures on 39 opportunities, but it was still a really impressive game from him. I watched that one back a bunch to just watch Latham play. The kick slide for a dude at 335. Oh man.
I'm gonna like this guy. I can already.
Oh gosh,
just by the way you're describing,
I can't believe he can kick slide like this. It just doesn't make any sense. He's got fleet feet, but he gives up the inside move a little bit. That's something to watch. But I really like Latham. He might be tackle 1. And Amarius Mims got hurt for Georgia. That stunk. That really stunk, honestly. But I think when he comes back for Georgia, player to watch for sure. The tackle class has so many names. How about this though? This guy I got to bring up because he's a dominant player in both facets of the game, and he's played 3 positions at a high level. This is exactly who the Packers pick. Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State is exactly who the Packers would pick. Okay,
that does make sense.
I thought you were going to say Josh Simmons.
No. He wasn't part of the meal. Cooper Beebe's the dessert here from the meal here. That I'm cooking up. 734 snaps at left tackle in 2021. Allowed just 10 pressures on 348 opportunities. The grades are all in the 80s across the board. Yeah. Moves to left guard, plays 919 snaps at left guard in 2022 for Kansas State. The pass blocking grade's even better. The run blocking grade is not too shabby at all. Just allows 9 pressures on 422 opportunities. And so far this season, over at right tackle, the grades look excellent as well. I'm just saying he can play anywhere. This is exactly the type of player the Packers pick. Just write him down because I actually wrote him down. I wrote a little something last August about, who's going to be the Packers pick in 2023 in the first round. Cooper Beebe was one of the ones I put down. He returned to school, but he's playing legitimately everywhere. This is exactly it right here. This is Elton Jenkins. Perhaps
it's a big boy.
And Elton Jenkins.
He's a huge man, and for some reason, at least in this one picture, he reminds me of Tauscher. For some reason,
he's quite good.
What in the world are we doing over here?
Okay.
I like this. It said your name, and I'm like, was this a picture? Some weird picture of you?
No, this is Cooper Beebe. Look,
there you go. Yep.
Dude looks like a Packer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy. It's like
he's 6'4", 335. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's got fleet feet. Love him.
It's too bad he's replacing Bakhtiari because I feel like he and Bakhtiari get along great.
Yes.
Come on.
That's the one right there I was looking at where he looks like Tauscher.
Yep.
Well, I don't know why it's making his hair go away when you click on that.
When you click on it, the long-haired Tauscher pick.
Yeah, what's happening? The images.
Look at all the different hair. Never mind.
That can't be all
down the rabbit hole.
Is that all him? Oh, no, without the beard, that looks.
That's
weird.
A big boy though, man. Holy cow!
Oh, yes.
That right there. Oh, hang on. It's I can see that.
Let's just drive the train.
There it is.
Draft 2 Coopers in the draft. That's it.
Oh, Cooper DeJean and Cooper Beebe.
Yeah, just both Coopers. Draft them.
Man, you guys thought that Luke Musgrave and Lucas Van Ness was hard. You wait till we get 2 Coopers.
then we make some kind of a Coop joke. I wish I was smarter. I would have thought of one.
Yep.
We need a guy named Luke Cooper on the team.
Oh no. No. There is a Luke Jones from Iowa, highest graded center in week 3. Just saying. So there is that as well. But I don't.
They're not drafting this guy though because he's a Big 12 guy.
There are always exceptions. Always exceptions.
Jake is not having it. You shut your mouth.
He's not from like the Texas area. He's from Kansas. This is, we're getting into that North Dakota State, South Dakota. Like we're getting into that type of area of the
only
continent.
Ever heard of the Big 10 and the SEC.
Well, it sounds like the
On
Big
day
Ten needs to
one.
invite these guys, is what I'm hearing right now. We'll take care of it right here.
What is this? John Stroman just commented cheese commercials.
I think he's editing this. We're going to need a replacement for the Ellen Box cheese commercials.
Have the Cooper.
So, Jake, you got anything for us on replacing Ellen Box cheese commercials? What do you got in the draft for next year?
Let the Coopers do it.
There you go. Coopers are the perfect.
Yeah, I think it would be like the Antonelli's commercial, but the Coopers.
I like how you took that question so seriously and like just nailed it. Like, oh yeah, I think Coopers could do it.
Yeah, I think they'd have no problem. No problem.
Replacement for the commercials. What about Olu Fashanu? Jerzon Newton, he could do it.
Oh, let's get started on that. 7 pressures against Penn State.
Oh,
they couldn't block him.
Cooper Beebe
the whole game.
Has a kid brother who also plays for Kansas State, Camden Beebe.
Just tell me Cooper Beebe is related to Don Beebe, and we're good to go.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Oh, what if he is?
It's possible
because he had another son that played for the Vikings.
Well, in Kansas State, wears purple.
Well, there's another connection there.
Yeah,
it's possible.
We could Google it, but I'm fine just speculating.
Done.
Do we want to talk center replacements now too? I'm on a
sure.
Kick right
yeah,
now.
hit us with center replacements. Go for it. Is there anybody worth talking about?
I think through 3 games, Drake Nugent from Michigan's been really, really good.
Great, that makes sense.
I think he's been fantastic. A little lighter at 301, but he's looked really good. They haven't really played anybody. Obviously, he came over from Stanford, so he's played 4 years at Stanford. This is his first one at Michigan. But we need road graders. You want road graders? Oh, there you go.
Mad City Architect, how do we change that JJ pay counter? Can't stand that 000. Need some money into tip jar. It's a good idea, Mad City.
If you want us to get back to the Packers and for me to stop cooking, donate.
We will be cooking until midnight tonight.
We're at an hour 21 of our 1 hour live stream.
Yeah.
So as soon as somebody donates, I think we can finally call it.
I think that
unless you donate because you want us to keep going, in which
case, that's the other.
JJ won't let me leave because you keep giving dollars.
That's the other side of that. Yeah, that's the other side. Oh man,
Drew says I tried to donate, but it's not working. Okay, so maybe this is the issue.
Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe something's broken. Sorry, JJ.
Wait. AJ's commenting as the JJ. Wait a minute. He's not cooking
the JJ
right now. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute.
Jake, did you say that I don't cook? That's
no. You weren't cooking at this very moment.
I thought I was set up earlier when
you were.
I had that one rant that was good.
I agree. You were cooking
I did
earlier.
that one.
If that's what they're talking about, then that's fine. But I didn't.
I had a good rant. She goes to Canada school. You don't know her. Hey, 99 cents. All right.
There it is.
There it
John
is.
Stroman.
Let me do my one thing.
Live stream coming in clutch again.
Here's what I will say.
Not broken. John.
Yes.
Oh, what if Mad City
not broke it?
Or no, it was Drew. What if Drew lied when he said that the donation wasn't working just to get
somebody to do it? Oh, yeah. Wow.
I appreciate
that. Was slick. It's broken.
Good. It's broken. Somebody try it. Somebody try it. Put a lot of zeros behind it. Oh wow.
Too old for this. $4.99 because Chris didn't donate. I'll summarize.
Wow.
JJ doesn't look like a middle school boy, even though he sounds like
Nope. Drew found the correct button, I think, just now.
Hey, $10. Wow, it's flying in. We got
oh my goodness.
On the button.
98 now.
So just to be clear, I'm clicking around so fast to get back to my cha-ching thing. I clicked accidentally on the end stream at the worst possible time. We're still going. I didn't confirm it.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh shoot, I almost just cut off JJ's cookathon here.
Oh man.
Oh, this is sweet on our new platform that we're using here. When people donate,
there it is.
Tab that just highlights them. So like I can close the regular chat tab and only see people who love me enough to give me money.
If you ever got your cookathon going.
Ryan.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah.
John Stroman says, "Take your shirt off,
That's
Ryan."
100. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's. Oh, here we go. And now you guys are making me do math here,
Wow.
and I'm not letting JJ do the math because he's going to say I owe him $50.
This is a guy perfect in the chat whose name is AJJ, and he specifies, "I am a JJ, not the JJ."
I see.
At least you know your place.
I see.
Daniel says, "Go full Bert Kreischer with the shirtless."
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think Chris's comment said like that I sound like a middle schooler and look like a mountain man.
That is pretty much it. Yes.
Let's just say, you know how some people have a face for radio? I had to cover mine up with the mountain man beard.
There you go.
My wife did not marry me for my voice. Mad City Architect
found the button.
Jeez.
Doing it.
Attaboy.
Suddenly we've all found the button.
I got to say, JJ, you owe Jake a big thank you because I think this was ready to be wrapped up. And he's like, let me do centers real quick. I'm like, all right, fine, do centers. Apparently, Jake's center talk has inspired the masses. Everybody loves centers so much. Oh, it's good to know for the future.
We can get to Cedric Van Pran if we want to.
We might have to do fullbacks. I don't know. These people, they're into some kinky stuff.
I was gonna say, I'm glad we didn't bring up running backs because that's a great segue into a tease for the pod tomorrow, where I'm gonna bring up the perfect compliment to Aaron Jones. So you better listen.
Oh,
it's the guy.
Jamal Williams.
No, he's still in college. Still in college.
So first of all,
he might enter, he might not. It feels like I'm concerned he goes back to school, but we'll see.
Dang it!
Huge thank you to everybody who has been donating here at the end. Yes. We went from 0 to $22.97 in like 5 seconds. Wow! So that brings my 0.33 of $22.97 to $7.58, and I think due to how he was cooking, I think we got to give the 34% to Jake this week.
Oh wow! No, I'll cook for free. Just keep donating.
I will. I cook for the love of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been having so much fun dunking on the Bears on Twitter and just pulling some receipts. My favorite thing was that after week 1, all the Bears fans are just frustrated with Luke Getsy and frustrated with the game plan as they see it, and just saying like, why aren't they letting Justin Fields take any shots deep downfield? Too old for this says, what? My money is going to JJ? I thought it was going to rabies awareness science. Hey, just because I look like I have rabies doesn't give you the right to say.
Too old for this is as obsessed or possibly more obsessed with The Office than I am, and I appreciate that.
Too old for this is the best.
I almost didn't get the reference because I was like, you didn't hear rabies. That was BB. Hey, for Cooper. That's not what you heard.
Not rabies. Come on.
Yeah, that's not what you heard.
Let me start over.
Oh man. Oh yeah. We'll get all the snaps of where he played. Here.
But when we get this great clip in week 2 for the Bears against the Buccaneers, where Fields stands in the pocket for 6 seconds before finally taking like the most embarrassing sack you've ever seen. So I just posted that and said, "Let Fields throw deep," and like the comments are just Bears fans, just like, "Yeah, he sucks."
That's what's no fun about it anymore. Like it used to be all off season. I could try to be as quiet as possible. Like I hope Bears fans don't find this and put the most obscure thing out. They all found it. They all just went nuts. They won't say anything anymore. And the only guy that keeps popping up, he's got an attitude, but he's like, yeah, I know he sucks. I get it. It's like, all right, thanks, dude. Thanks for showing up.
Honestly, perhaps the funniest part of this from a draft perspective is I see people going, well, if we take Williams and May, both can't bust, right?
It's funny because I've commented on that a couple times, and it's like, that's so stupid, but at the same time, seriously do it. Like
that would be
for a franchise that has literally never had a quarterback ever. What just freaking do it.
Every pick. Every pick.
Yeah.
What the biggest debate, Ryan, that you and I ever got into on Twitter was the would Mahomes have sucked if the Bears had drafted him debate? Because I was saying yes, and you were saying no, like even the Bears can't screw that up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to revisit that because now I'm not so sure anymore. I'll tell you what, if they draft both of these quarterbacks as they should and they both fail, which I talk about that a little bit on tomorrow's podcast about the hilarity of how that could turn out. But then we'll know for sure. Let's just put it to bed. Draft both of them. If they both bust out, then we know it just is what it is.
If you want to take, Penix or Nix in the second round as well, like that's fine. Do whatever you got to do.
We'll just start donating quarterbacks just to see if you can do it.
Yeah.
All right. Out of the goodness of our heart, here's Kurt Banker.
Yeah, but that's what they need right now.
Yeah.
Will Tyson Bagent get snaps? My column.
Now, the one thing that we've never seen is like an established good quarterback who's not washed up, like late stage Andy Dalton, go to Chicago and see, like, do they immediately start sucking? So, like, Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers would not have counted because they already had a down year before they left their team. Yeah. It would be like, there's a dude like Jalen Hurts or whatever. Well, they already deal with him. You would need to trade for a dude who's like in his prime.
Well, what's kind of funny is you mentioned Mahomes and you think, well, I wonder what that would look like. But then we saw him without his tight end and like he didn't have a defense. And you look at it and go, he's kind of playing with a slightly better version of the Bears and he looks like garbage. So maybe he would be terrible if he went to Chicago.
We've always had that argument with Cleveland too. It's like, would Cleveland ruin this guy at QB?
Yeah,
it's possible. If Josh Allen went first to Cleveland, would he been bad?
Right.
It took him a couple of years, so I mean,
yeah, there was actual development that had to take place to get Allen where he is.
Yeah, I don't think the Browns could have handled it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Bears either.
Speaking of which, like, what's the verdict here with Deshaun? Like, is Deshaun ever going to be a good quarterback again? Like, forget the off the field stuff. Is he ever going to play football at a competent level again? Because he's got a fully guaranteed, like, 5-year contract. Like, the Browns are stuck with him.
Hey, that was my train wreck.
Oh,
where is it? Where's the?
You should have gotten to it 55 minutes ago.
Listen, we got on a lot of topics. It was a perfect derailed episode, if I've ever heard one.
So, my train wreck was going to be Matt Canada.
Well,
we got there.
So Brock Purdy, obviously playing pretty solid so far this year, just helping the engine of the Niners offense go. He's counting $889K against the cap. Deshaun Watson last night was like 22 of 40, like 235, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 fumble. Basically gave 2 touchdowns to the defense. You would have won the game otherwise. $19 million cap hit this year, $64 million the next 3 each. $64 million for each year. So, yikes. Can't wait for his camp to be leaking stuff about like, Stefanski's just not running the right offense for him.
Yeah.
That's coming. Like that's going to happen, especially if they lose to Tennessee next week. Like his camps could be like, Stefanski just can't call an offense. Like he's not tailoring to his QB.
Yeah.
AJJ says Jay Cutler looked like a beast before the Bears traded for him. Now I'm a little bit too young to remember like pre-Bears Jay Cutler, but wasn't he like, like Kirk Cousins level beast? Like he wasn't like.
I think that's probably fair.
He was the beast who gambled.
I know it was a massive thing. Like it was a huge move, and then what's his name came over with him, Brandon Marshall.
Yep.
And that was huge. Especially, I mean, they got an established defense. Now they have a legit quarterback. Like we don't have to worry about draft, develop, nothing. Like this guy is a really good quarterback already, and we get like a premier wide receiver coming over. Stack it with our defense, we're good, and the Bears gonna Bears. Somehow they ended up with one of our favorite Packer fans' favorite quarterbacks of all time because he was just he threw so many passes to Packers.
Dude, Christmas was always happening when he was.
I don't know how that team wasn't good. I don't get it.
They were 1 year, right?
Yeah.
They were. They were like 7-1, and then Cutler threw a pick, chased a guy down, and like completely wrecked his thumb. And like season done. I definitely remember that happening. I don't remember what year that was. 2012 might have been the year. I feel like that's
they were
correct,
competitive, and
but-
obviously they got to the NFC Championship game.
Yes, in 20. Yeah.
And so
So
they had a couple glimpses there.
yeah.
You see Daniel's comment, by the way. Hillary Swank recently commented. This is Daniel saying this. Hillary Swank recently commented on the Office episode Hot or Not. She made it about the boy-girl dynamic and totally dodged the question, which for those of you who don't watch The Office, the question is Hillary Swank hot? Can't believe she dodged that question.
Do we want to address that, by the way?
Is Hillary Swank hot?
I guess not. All right, we'll leave that alone.
Do you want to address?
I don't want.
I wanted to hear the cricket chirp right there. That was unfortunate.
I that's one I got to queue up for next time.
that
We got to
would've
get
been
all the
really
sound
good.
effects going.
Yeah.
I don't want my answer to be on record, but like she's
Fair enough.
pleasant, but she's not hot. Very, very pleasant.
Well, you just put it on record, so I'm not sure.
That
I'm not
answers
gonna.
the
I
question.
don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it
Of
anyway.
a live thing called Trainwreck. I think we're
90
okay.
minutes in, who's listening? If I have to say this and put it on the record, it's fine. Oh boy.
Honestly, that's the line
Oh,
that came
boy.
to mind when you said that. Getting down to the nitty gritty in terms of
yeah.
what the actual question is she hot? All right, we'll leave it alone. I mean, JJ touched it a little bit, but we'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
I keep looking at Too Old for This's profile picture. He looks like a young, slightly more attractive version of Nathaniel Hackett, I think.
I really can't see it. I always just
You
I
gotta look
assume
at
it's a
the-
really old man.
Not in the chat. You gotta look at the one that you highlighted on the screen.
Yeah, I know. It's still kind of. I don't know. I don't want to
I
put my
can see
face
the
over it. It's weird.
Hackett vibes.
I with a name like Too Old for This, I thought he was gonna be like an old dude, but he's not.
I think my brain's reconstructing it. All I can see is a bald head, so I'm assuming it's that like old man mask that some people wear.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what I'm picturing when I see him. But
Great.
apparently,
Never gonna
as
do
you get
anything
closer, he gets younger.
Yeah.
Drew asks, how are the Bears not interested in Derek Carr? That's what blows me away. Did we ever get closure on which team it was that Brady wanted to go to, and then he was like ticked off that they were sticking with some garbage quarterback instead? Was it
San Francisco?
Was it the Niners and Jimmy
Yeah.
G, or was it the Bears and Trubisky?
No, it's definitely the Niners. I don't think he wanted to go. I can't imagine he wanted to go to Chicago.
That's true.
I just feel like he wouldn't have, because that was
See, Brady's not.
that was
stupid.
2020, right? So 2019 Chicago, 2018 Chicago was good Chicago, right? The 12-4 team. 2019,
That's true. Yeah.
wasn't the good. It has to be San Francisco,
Dude,
There's
he
no
would've
way
won
it isn't.
2 Super Bowls in San Francisco.
Yeah,
easily.
I think so. It had to be. It had to be, because there was that whole deal about Garoppolo being picked, right? I think in the second round by New England, and then they had that whole thing that power struggle. Bill wanted to go with Garoppolo, and I think Kraft and Brady were kind of like, no, we're not doing that, not happening. And yeah, the whole
Jimmy
There
G
was a
took
whole
his
long-
job twice.
yeah, there was a whole there was a whole
Imagine that.
long article on all the power dynamic there.
I wonder if Brady hates Jimmy in real life. Like, is he like laughing at the rate? Well, he's like trying to buy the Raiders now.
Well, that's like
What?
didn't he already buy in, but it's like not official for this year because maybe he can kind of come back in.
He's
the
like
NFL?
obsessed with Jimmy G.
Yeah, that is kind of creepy.
He tried to leave
That's
New England
strange.
to go to San Francisco and take his job.
Yep.
Now he's trying to buy Jimmy's team.
So he can kick.
Probably so he can
he's
cut
go-
him.
he's just going to do it just so he can cut him, and that's
Yeah.
it. That's the whole
Yep.
thing.
Or he's gonna like trade him for like a 7th round pick to Chicago.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
take Fields for Fields in a 7th, please. Thanks.
I keep cracking up that people are trying to ship this whole Brady to the Jets thing as though Brady doesn't hate the Jets.
I would assume.
This is true, but does he like Belichick? Did he really
He
enjoy
likes
beating
Belichick.
him?
I don't
Did
think
he
wanted
really
to-
enjoy beating him in that Sunday night game, though? I think he did. I think he's competitive enough to go. Yeah, I'll beat Bill 3 times.
Could it
I
be
shall
a Brett
beat
Favre
3-0
Vikings
against him.
thing?
I'm petty. I will beat him thrice. I wouldn't rule that out. but no, I think there's a good chance the Jets will trade for QB. And if
there's
the
nobody
Vikings
to trade for,
if the Vikings lose this week, they drop to 0-3. They really get behind the 8 ball midseason. Cousins is not under contract next year. It's a rental for a playoff push. I could see it.
Even with Rodgers, like it's a garbage roster. Like they have some good pieces. It's not a good enough roster. You're not winning a Super Bowl with that roster.
True,
it's not
but
happening.
also
You don't have an offensive line. I'm not overreacting to the Rodgers injury. We've said all year they don't have an offensive line.
Right.
They have a receiver. That's it. They have a receiver, and they maybe have a running back, depending on how you feel about Brees Hall, which most people love him. So, okay, a running back and a wide receiver, and then a decent defense. That's all they have. Kirk Cousins is not leading that team to the Super Bowl. The Vikings have a better roster than the Jets do.
But,
they have a better wide receiver. What'd you say?
The defense is horrendous. It's horrendous in Minnesota. I was going to say, the Jets, don't you feel like at some point Joe Douglas, they have to win? He'll be like, Rodgers got hurt. We won 6-11. Is that going to be enough for Woody Johnson? I feel like it's not. I feel like Woody Johnson's like, no, you guys should be in the playoffs by now.
I don't know. I don't think
quit messing around.
Smart.
That's what I mean.
Johnson doesn't know anything.
That's what I mean, though. Like, is that him being exactly what you are accusing him of? Being like, hey, we gotta get to playoffs. You're trading for Cousins. Do you understand me? I don't care that Rodgers got hurt. Like that's what I mean. Is he smart? Probably not.
Just completely tanking his own team by making completely stupid decisions while Rodgers is fighting to get back. He's going to go out and make a trade. Yeah, I get what you're saying, and that makes sense.
JJ, I'm agreeing with you in that sense and saying, like, would he do something and be like, hey, Joe, buddy, you got to do this. All right, stop messing around.
I would be okay with it if the trade is Kirk Cousins for Zach Wilson. Otherwise, please do not give the Vikings anything for Kirk because he's gone next year.
Oh, they're gonna pay. They're gonna pay out the years.
I'm fine if they do. Like, I mean, I respect the heck out of Kirk, but like we know what the Vikings ceiling is.
The thing that would be wild is if they, the second round pick is solidified and they throw a 1 for Cousins.
Well, that's the thing. The Packers would have to agree to that.
Right.
I think that Mark Murphy is too wily to just give up that little bit of leverage over nothing. He would make the Jets give him something in return. And don't forget, Mark Murphy is still salty over the fact that the Jets let Favre go to Minnesota. Like, he made a big deal about that this time around, about making sure that, like, listen, we got to have stuff in place to protect us this time. He is not giving up that little bit of leverage that he has on the Jets for free.
It doesn't have to be for free. I'll take Joe Tippmann if they're interested. I'll gladly.
I'll take Garrett Wilson.
Oh, well, hold on. Let's be reasonable. 2025 first, and you got yourself a deal. I genuinely think Woody Johnson will do something like that. And I feel like Cousins is such an easier target because he's a free agent after this year than someone like Kyler Murray, who's got ridiculous amounts of dead cap and so much to be paid out over the course of a contract through like 2028. Then something like that. So, don't say Field for Wilson swap.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
What if the Jets are dumb enough to?
Yes, they probably
are. Out the Browns, the only other team.
No!
Yikes!
No. That's even. I think that money might be worse than Kyler's. I feel like the Jets have to be smart enough to be like, Watson's playing horrible.
However,
how much of Watson's money is dead? Like, isn't it just like all guaranteed? Like, how much did they pay out in dead cap? Rated.
I don't know.
Like,
if we continue on with that conspiracy theory, though, that you had brought up, Jake, that pretty soon they're going to start leaking that the the coach is the problem and he doesn't know how to call plays. And then we say, okay, the Jets owner is an idiot. He looks at that and says, hey, this is still an elite quarterback. It's just the Browns that are the problem, not realizing that they're just as crappy at developing quarterbacks as anybody else, but it doesn't matter because he doesn't know that. So he says, hey, we can still get an elite quarterback, and not just like 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. We can get one of the best young, talented quarterbacks. Granted, it was like 4 years ago, but still in forever, and we can bring him in here, and he can lead us into the promised land. I mean, it's wildly unlikely, but it is a fun conspiracy theory to play with.
Oh, man.
It's actually,
and the Browns get out from underneath the worst decision
they do.
Surprisingly, their franchise has ever made. As crazy as that sounds.
Don't let them off the map. But yes,
I think it is worse than the Herschel Walker.
Yeah,
it's bad.
It is. I just think like Cousins with the rental of like you don't have to pay this guy past this year. It makes it like perfect for everybody because of that. Like I think Watson, you'd be like committing for multiple years. Does that make, does that like part of it like being like, we got to send Rodgers somewhere, and then, oh no, Kirk is a free agent. They're sending Rodgers somewhere. So we can weave a crazy tale out of this that Rodgers ends up in Minnesota just like Favre did.
It's fate.
Like
it is meant to be.
If the Watson thing happens, then
the Watson thing also goes that direction, though. So first of all, it's actually way more feasible than I thought.
I guess it probably would be than Murray's. Yeah,
Watson is only, I say only, but like considering how bad the contract is, he's only $63 million dead cap for the Browns, and the Jets would be getting him for just under $1 million for the rest of this year, and then they would have to pay him $140 million over the next 3 seasons. Which, what's 140 divided by 3? It's 46. You're paying him 46, almost $47 million per year for 3 years. But they have Rodgers under contract, I think, for next year.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're paying for both of them.
Yeah.
So this is the thing: is you then ship Rodgers somewhere else,
Minnesota,
Chicago.
He wouldn't go to Chicago.
I think it's Minnesota.
Well, okay. Yeah, Minnesota still makes sense then because you wouldn't ship Rodgers off until next year. And that's when Minnesota needs
gets off the books from Cousins. Yeah.
But I think the Jets are going to have a pretty nasty dead cap hit, aren't they?
Who?
The Jets
probably would potentially
for shipping off Rodgers. I think they would take a big hit for that and then still have to pay for. I don't know why we're digging so deep into this.
This is great. Yeah. We were talking Packers Saints to finish but we got
You'd be shocked to find out that the viewers have actually gone up since we started talking about this. We were almost down to 0 and they're spiking back up now.
How about it?
Let's get those donations flowing again, boys.
Oh, JJ, shut up already. Jeez.
Oh, no way.
So the Jets would have $63 million in dead cap from Rodgers.
Yeah.
And then the team trading for him, aka the Vikings, would only owe him about $6 million over the next 2 seasons. They would get him for 24 and 25 for $6 million total. So $3 million per year, which means the Vikings are shipping some serious compensation back to the Jets.
Yeah, a lot.
The Jets are shipping some serious compensation probably to the Browns to offset
There's a lot
some of that dead
here.
cap that the Browns are incurring.
Yeah.
AJJ says Kirk Cousins actually would only cost $10.25 million because his $10 million bonus strips off. I don't want Kirk Cousins to strip anything off.
It just seems like the most feasible thing. And if we're even remotely considering the possibility that Woody Johnson's a big enough idiot to trade for Watson,
he traded for Rodgers.
I get it, and that's what I mean. Like, no, like I think we're bringing it up like it's a possibility. Then like trading for Cousins should be like cake. Damn, it's like, oh yeah, this is no problem.
And if we get off,
money's not even tight. Like,
the only question though is like, so the logic that would cause you to go after Rodgers is the same logic that would tell you that like Cousins is garbage. Like right now, I think Cousins is a better quarterback than Rodgers right now. Well, okay, if Rodgers had a hamstring or whatever it is, his Achilles, if he had that,
yeah,
I still think Cousins is the better quarterback. But the reputation is that Rodgers is elite and Cousins is garbage. So I don't think he'd be interested in Cousins. I think that he would want somebody with a really big name.
This is fair.
The other path that gets Rodgers to Minnesota, if we just get off the free agency thing,
it's going to happen.
Is they have a terrible year. They have a really high draft pick. They draft a quarterback, and Rodgers says, "Screw you, get me out of here. I'm going somewhere else."
Yeah. That's
right.
Yeah.
And you know what?
But when you're picking that high, great tackle.
You know, the only reason you wouldn't do that is if you were trying to really stick with this plan that you're selling the fans on, which is that like Zach Wilson is your future. Well, watching him for the whole 2023 season is going to change your mind on that idiotic plan. Joe Pirano donated $10 and said, "Go Pack, go!"
Hey, thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
There were a few questions about Packers Saints, and I thought I was just watching them pass by while we were, and then people started bringing up Kyler and Cousins, and this is great. This is the derailed episode. If you haven't gotten on the bandwagon for derailed yet on the feed, this is brand. The one. This is the one right here that should bring you into the fold for sure. We talked about tackles and guards in the draft and that Cousins to the Jets.
We talked about Packers for an hour and 15 minutes and nobody liked it. And then we talked about centers and Deshaun to the Jets, and boy oh boy did JJ just cashed in the money.
Yep.
The people love it.
What a pod.
Well, you got to update my money counter now that Joe dropped his $10.
I just did. That's what the 1099 is. It went up from 7 something to 1099.
There you go.
Double it.
Double it. All right. What will that take?
Oh my good Lord.
We are almost at the 2-hour mark on our 1 hour live stream, so we probably should call it.
Probably should go, yeah.
Ryan, did you do an AM pod for us tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Let's stay up late then.
I have to upload it, so
we got plenty for tomorrow too.
So, and I got to get my,
as we said,
Packernet After Dark up in 13 minutes. We got to get going.
I can't ignore this one though. Joe Pirano, who just donated the $10, asked, "How bad is John Runyon?" And I have been like, since the preseason, I have been pissed off at John Runyon. I think minus whatever it was, like the third preseason game. He had one preseason game where he was like elite at everything. And other than that, for the entirety of 2023, dude has been just laying an egg everywhere.
Did he play center in that game where he was doing well?
That's a good question. I don't think he did, but I'll check.
Not to get deep into a question here. Whoops.
Sidebar.
No, he didn't. He played right guard. Okay.
He played center in the first game.
Yeah.
And then right guarded in the second game when he had his great grade.
Yep. Listen, just Joe, get on the bandwagon. Cooper Beebe to Green Bay. Just get on it. Get on the bandwagon right now.
PFF really liked what John Runyon did like all 3 weeks of the preseason. And actually, they've given him an 81 grade overall so far for the 2023 season. Oh, I guess that's for the preseason. He had an 81 grade in the preseason this year. I don't know what they were seeing. That first game against Cincinnati, he did fine, I guess, pass blocking, but run blocking, it was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen from John Runyon.
It was bad.
Yep.
He on one run play, he was following the running back, running after him, and then just dove for the sideline and just belly flopped onto a dude who wasn't even in the game.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what he was trying to do. He just like dolphin dived.
Yeah, it was not good. Also, John, I'll answer John. I think I'll be the differing answer here. I guarantee it. No.
John asked if we have to go to bed.
No.
Jake says no.
No, I don't. But
Jake, what time zone do you live in?
Central.
You're Central. Okay.
I'll be up at least 4 more hours at least.
He'll be cooking.
I'm Eastern, so I
Yeah,
feel
I'll
like
be
I
cooking.
get tired sooner than you guys do.
Yeah,
maybe. I get tired relatively early, so even
You're
with the
old.
time zone situation.
Yeah, I
You're
will
old,
be
though. You
cooking
don't
because I earlier tonight we did kind of about half of what I have for the pod tomorrow. So,
There you go.
And we mentioned it already. The running back that fits with Jones perfectly. Better listen. That's what I'll be doing.
All right. He's teased it enough times. You all have to go listen to his podcast for tomorrow.
That's it.
Ryan, you want to read that last comment for us and get out of here?
Yes, I do. AJJ says, been listening to the Packernet pod for years. Just want to say thanks for the passion. AJJ, thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you and appreciate you listening, man.
That's it for today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter at JJ Leahy, at Pack_Daddy, and at Jake NFL Draft to stay up to date on all things Packers or ask us questions. Make sure you're subscribed to Packernet on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Go Pack Go.